Welcome to the latest instalment of Retail Media Thursdays. I'm Simon Piper, VP of Client Success and Growth at Sky EMEA. Going to be meeting with Uche Ofili today. Very much looking forward to it, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome, Uche.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. So let's start with a quick introduction to yourself and also dunnhumby and Tesco.
Sure. So I'm Uche Ofili and I head up the media agency team at dunnhumby. I've been at dunnhumby now for 2 years. My background is very much media agency, but with the growth of retail media, I think the acceleration and the growth ambitions within Tesco dunnhumby have been very much to speak to the market and agencies alike. So my job, I'm responsible for the go-to-market strategy for agency, building out our profile in market, but also understanding exactly the different cultures and DNAs within the different agencies as well.
Okay, nice.
Thank you.
Now, before we jump into it, just want to break the ice with a couple of intro questions. So, love to understand your peak of the week over the last few days or so.
Sure. So I think one of the peaks of my week has been the eMarketer report that talks to 2024 forecasts. And I think it was interesting to note that they forecast that £1 out of every £6 spent on digital display will be through retail media moving forward. And I thought that was astonishing, but again, aligns to our growth ambitions here in the EMEA market, but also looking to the West to help us with those forecasts as well.
Wow, okay. And again, before we jump in, tell me a little bit about why this pub and location.
Sure. So this is the Brook Green Hotel, which is very close to Brook Green, where the Hammersmith office is, the central office for dunnhumby. For me, selfishly, it has many kind of hidden gems in it. One, I've laid my head here several times when I've come in for meetings from out of town. But secondly, I think importantly for the unity and the cohesion of the team, I think everything was a little bit fragmented during the pandemic. But what we've found is now that more and more people are in the office, that there's a great atmosphere in this pub. You know, on your typical media Thursdays or Fridays. And
this is the local.
This is the one.
Okay, got it. So Tesco Club Card launched way back in 1995. I actually remember it launching, which shows you just how incredibly old I am. But it's an awful lot of time to be collecting and activating consumer data for your shopper marketing teams.
Sure.
Love to know a little bit about what learnings you can take from this.
Sure. I think crucially for brand and shopper marketing teams, the kind of piece de resistance is our insight, and that offers both brand and shopper teams the ability to understand exactly the metrics and the levers through media activation that actually work in an in-store and online environment. So who to target, who not to target, the channels to use, and indeed how to optimize within that journey. So I think hugely powerful, this data and this insight lends itself really nicely to brand marketers specifically, especially when you start talking about the metrics by which brand marketers are judged at the moment are becoming more and more performance related.
Yeah. So how do you see the convergence of traditional shopper marketing and online media in today's landscape?
Great question, and something that we're faced with on a daily basis actually, as we both deal with CPGs, right, and obviously the agencies who are probably more the digital experts. So what we find is that although part of the same organization, you'll find that shopper marketeers and brand marketeers don't actually work together. So with us and providing the club card, the data set, it actually acts as a linchpin between both teams that they're utilizing that data set to start using it for their implementational planning and some of their media activations as well.
And how do you see that playing out in the future too?
I think it's really interesting. So traditionally, we're looking at shopper marketeers operating at bottom end, lower funnel, so more transactional, and then your brand marketeers at the upper funnel. But so ultimately what we think is that retail media provides an innate, multi-faceted, holistic approach to your marketing or media mix. So moving forward, I think that you'll see that one hand washes the other, and that actually they play off of each other So your brand marketeers will be able to identify customers at much earlier on in their journey, and then you'll be able to mop them up lower down in the funnel.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sorely needed, right?
Indeed.
So closed loop reporting is a term that's used a lot in retail media. No, it's also something that you've written about recently too. Love you to tell us a little bit more about closed loop reporting. Sure. For those people that haven't read your blog and why it is so important today.
I think especially for agencies, the ability to refine and understand performance of campaigns is pivotal, right? In terms of understanding their customer, but what works and what doesn't work. For us, closed loop reporting gives a true view of exactly what works within our ecosystem. It's our ability to talk from sofa to store and then close that loop, so to speak, and provide the sales uplift data, but more importantly, the different touch points along that journey. So who's doing what, when are they doing it, and how regularly are they doing it as well? This, we feel, gives a true view as to exactly what your customers are doing, so you have a better understanding of your customer, and in that sense, it lends itself to better implementational planning.
So you manage agency relationships for dunnhumby in the UK, and we both know just how crucial those agencies are as part of the demand side equation.
Yeah.
Would love to understand a little bit more around how you think agencies are making mistakes in the current ecosystem and what more they could do.
It's a great question. I think some of the challenges that we face with working with agencies are around maybe the fact that retail media is still quite nascent and in its infancy, so no one really knows where to place it within industry. I think historically it's sat with maybe some of your e-commerce teams, but in terms of defining retail media, we think it far surpasses just e-commerce and that digital element, especially given our relationship, of course, with Tesco and all the activation that we can do in store, especially digitally as well, which we think that agencies would be quite receptive to. I think potentially looking at bringing that further up funnel within agency and having a bit more of upskilling within agency as to exactly what retail media means, not just sitting in isolation within the e-com teams. Maybe bringing on some of the comms planners and strategists to understand exactly how this fits with the overarching marketing plan. Yeah. I'd say that that's the real challenge that we face here. It's more around education.
So is there anything else that you're doing to evolve that relationship and educate the agency teams on this journey?
There's lots that we're doing actually, and we spend a lot of time with our agency partners getting in-room first-hand feedback. So I say the first thing is that we have an agency client council that the majority of the top network agencies and independents are invited to give feedback in room, but also to see what we're doing in terms of our journey, in terms of our product roadmap, so to speak. But also we're launching our own media accreditation that we'll be rolling out to all agencies to help upskill agencies and those working with agencies within that retail media ecosystem.
So there's been a lot written comparing retailers to the likes of Google and Facebook. Now we all know that they're very, very different, and it is difficult to compare those. It's different priorities, different ways that you're going to be managing your media business. At a recent IAB event on retail media, a lot of the attendees were asking about retailers themselves and their focus and priorities in this area. Yeah. For a little bit more clarity there. I'd love to get your take on Tesco's priorities and how that relates to both short and long-term focus for within the retail media space.
It's a great question. I think my opinion is very much that Tesco Media and Insight platform is a partnership between dunnhumby, who are a data science company and have been doing this for 30 plus years. So when people talk about retail media being quite nascent, it's quite odd to us because we've been doing it for some time. And then obviously the partnership in tow with Tesco, the largest retailer in the country. And at all times we put the customer first. That's our ethos. It's part of our principles and values within the business. And in that sense, I think it must be a long-term strategy. It's not short-term wins here and quick wins or quick clicks. And in that sense, it's very much putting the customer at the heart of what we do, using our data. And our data set is 20 million plus club card holders, right? And that's nationally representative, it's diverse, it spans the country. So it makes it really easy for marketeers to dive into our insights and optimize within our ecosystem. I don't think that it's a short play at all. I think that what we're doing here is a sustained effort, especially given the amount logistically that we have been investing into what we're doing from a media perspective and operating within this space. It's new territory for us, of course, as a retailer stepping into the media environment, but a really exciting one that we're looking forward to stepping in as a retail media authority.
Nice. Lots more to come too.
Lots more to come, especially with our product roadmap that obviously will be shared as and when.
So some quick fire questions just to wrap up.
Okay.
Village, town or city?
Oh, great question. Village.
Choice.
I'd say village. I live in a village now. I did the city and the city thing for many years, and now I live in a village, so I get the best of both worlds, really.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, eat-in or restaurant?
Restaurant, I'd say. My culinary skills are not exactly where they should be, I'd say, but I just like the diversity of going out to eat and sharing with friends as well. So I'd probably dine out, yeah.
Nice. Beer, wine or spirits?
I'm a spirits man, I'd say.
Yeah.
Preferably a tequila maybe, or a whiskey,
tequila.
maybe a Japanese whiskey here and there.
Yeah. I have a bit of hibiki for
there we go.
myself.
Yes, good man.
Classic.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad.
And then finally, Asda or Morrison's?
I plead the fifth on that one. Great question. Cheers.
Cheers.